All right, we are live for the midweek morning check-in. And as always, excited to be back. Looking forward to connecting and sharing with you some interesting narratives as well as possible developments in the silver game, as well as just some relevant events that's happening in our country. But good morning, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. Trying to be on time or on time as best I can. And yeah, but here we are though. So welcome, man. Hope everyone's doing well this early morning. Let me know as we get further along in the show today. Let me know what's on your radar. What are you guys keeping your eyes on? What concerns you, excites you about the current events happening in the world these days? And so I have maybe 10, 12 tabs open relevant to just some interesting subject matter. And then I am curious to hear what you guys are keeping your eyes on. So let me know if everything is coming through in the audio as well as in the video side of things so that we can make sure that this is a productive live stream this morning. And if we have any first-time viewers, let me know where you're watching from. We'd love to acknowledge your presence and thank you for being a part of the community. And, of course, bless me with your time. And if you haven't, as you come in, or if you're watching a replay, whatever it is, hit that thumbs up button or that check mark on Rumble just to show support for the channel. And hopefully that lets the algos know that there are people who want to plug into some real alternative news out here. All right. So as always, we're going to start off with the good news for my devotional and then get into some market activity. I have not a lot, but a couple of market analysts, forecasters, people in that in the technical realm expressing concerns over where we're at now with this current silver activity. And then, of course, based upon what's happening out in Asia, it's good to say we can not necessarily guarantee, but we or they or whatever can feel very confident that regardless of what might be thrown our way, the inevitable trend upward of the silver and gold price in USD terms will continue. And so we will talk more about that in a moment. All right, we have Viv checking in. Appreciate you. We have Sam Ifar checking in as well. Let me see what we got here. It says, looking at the upcoming Mexican elections. Curious about what's going on and what that means to our borders, if anything. Keep us up to date for sure. I'm definitely curious to find out more about that as well. That's just one of maybe a dozen other subjects that I wish I could really pay attention to in detail, but it'd just be too much for me. But keep us up to date so we can stay plugged in. I did hear or I read somewhere that in Mexico City, they were having protests in reference to the elections. I'm not sure exactly what it's about, but apparently there was a nice little gathering of people expressing their concerns, letting their voice be heard over this presidential cycle down there. So let us know. Cherokee, how you doing? It says, Mike, Glint app has been disabled since yesterday. Really? Thanks for keeping us up on that. Once again, if it wasn't for you guys in the community bringing these subjects to the forefront, we wouldn't hear nothing about this. And so I'm going to check into that as well. And while I'm on here, since that appears to be some really important news, let me see if I can find something on it real quick. And then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of what's happening today. Because, those metals online app type services, it's something of concern. I would imagine if I had an account with Glint and I opened it up and I couldn't get into it, I would be concerned. Let me see here. As of right now, nothing new. Let me try to go to X and see if it's trending on X or anything like that. Give me a second here. I would consider this, if that's valid, to be some breaking important news for people, especially in the precious metal space. Let me see if anything is happening out in the Twitter sphere. Okay, so we do have a little something out here. Let me just start off with typing in Glint. Let me go jump in this real quick. This is potentially some interesting development. So we'll jump into this real quick and then we'll get into the regular routine. But it says from Glint app, this is a post that says, please note we are experiencing a temporary connection issue. Our team is working to resolve this as we speak. Thank you for your patience and in the meantime. So then somebody said from yesterday's Glint app in UK currently down. Please note Glint app is experiencing a temporary connection issue. Our team is working on it. So we have I believe he is the founder. Jason Cozens is expressing his I mean, just acknowledging and addressing the issue as of right now. So we will see how this plans out. Definitely unforeseen event. But then again, I don't want to read too much into it as of now. We'll just wait and see. But once again, it's just another sign of what happens when you have a app service on a phone or desktop, either one, that is relied upon internet service, personal private servers, and all the other technical counterparties in between you and your metal. So it's 4 or 5 different counterparty risks between you and your metals. So just something to be aware of. And so it's been a long time since I've been a part of those particular apps, just because I realize this is off subject, of course, but as we get further into this transition or this reset, relying upon technology may not be the most trustworthy thing in a world where they said you'll own nothing and be happy with it. And how do you pull that off? By taking everything digital. So anyway, just a little nugget there, but I appreciate you for bringing that to our attention. I wouldn't have known if you didn't bring it to us. So appreciate you, man. We got Eddie checking in as well. Technical issues. We got Bougie Prepper checking in. Okay, technical issue. So Viv says technical issue equals cyber attack or ransom attack. Yeah, I don't know, but we will find out, or we may not find out. So keep your eyes open for that one for those who are impacted by that. So all right, so yeah, got off on a different note this morning, but yeah, it's going to be a good morning, man. It's going to be a good morning. So let me move forward just to make sure everything is moving. Do my typical announcement. So if you haven't, make sure you subscribe on RTD, on YouTube, on Rumble. Hit the check, hit the bell, hit the notifications. Hopefully you get plugged in. And I want to encourage you people, if you haven't as of yet, connect with RTD on the socials, especially the Telegram. And so that's where we share articles out throughout the day. And that whole situation might have been on the Telegram. I haven't checked in this morning, but anyway, just a good way to plug in with the community offline, just in case we are no longer connected here. And then speaking of which, I shared in the chat yesterday that about once a month, I get a notification from YouTube saying that they removed one of my videos, and it looks like they're purging and cleansing the platform based upon medical misinformation from 2-3 years ago. So literally, like once a month, I get a notification saying that your video you may not have meant to cause any harm with it, but it doesn't fit our advertisers, whatever. So we took it down for you. I'm like, okay. And so I'm thinking, like, okay, if the medical misinformation was a primary label that they use for removing a lot of content creators and videos, think about what's coming in the future. And I'm thinking, okay, so if it's medical last time, next time it's going to be financial. And so it's good to say around 2025, 2026-ish, I got more thoughts as to why that is. I'm going to lay that out in a minute. Expect more, or I should expect more, a new category of financial misinformation. And so pretty much every video I talk about would pose as a counter narrative to what they would want the public to know. So like I always say, it's just, yeah. So make sure you guys connect on Rumble. That'll probably be up longer than anything else. But once again, interesting world. But financial misinformation is probably on the table next when the banks go under. Okay. I'm ranting too much. Let me get into the subject matter, man. I hope everyone's doing well as always. For those who are coming in, appreciate you. All right, let's get into that good news, man. Let's get into that good news. All right, so good news, May 22nd. From the daily devotional that says, absolutely convinced. This is going to be a doozy. Absolutely convinced. It comes from 2 Timothy 1:12. It says, I know whom I have believed, and I am convinced that he is able to guard what I have entrusted to him until that day. That day. That day. All right. It says here, trust God, believe with every fiber of your being that he will fight faithfully. I was about to say financially, faithfully fulfill his promises. Do not just say, quote, I hope the Lord will come to my aid, unquote. Do not merely stop at declaring, quote, I know he can work everything out, unquote. Exhibit the highest level of faith by proclaiming, quote, I am absolutely certain my Heavenly Father will help me. It's as good as done. So you see those different degrees of statements that a person can say. I hope, I know, and then the true, faith type of statements. It says, I'm certain, I know God's going to come through in reference to whatever it is you might be believing him for. And so once again, when I read these devotionals, within my spirit, stuff pops out, and it's all about reinforcing things that I'm believing and standing on myself. So hopefully this is of a blessing to somebody else as well, because faith, yeah, we going to need strengthening in the days ahead. It says, with such a profound confidence in the Lord, you don't have to worry. You realize you can endure it to no matter what happens because of who he is. You're a faithful God who's able to do all things on your behalf. Absolutely nothing is impossible for him. It says, but what if I misunderstood him? You may wonder. Then the Father will gently correct you. He wants you to know and do his will, so he won't hide his ways from you. So thank the Lord for answering your prayers and trust him completely. Certainly he will fulfill his promises and take care of you regardless of what happens. And the closing prayer is right here behind me. Lord, I'm absolutely certain you will help me. Undoubtedly, your promises are as good as fulfilled. Amen. All right, my good people, that is a good word for this morning. Hopefully it charges your spirit man up, gets you fired up in your gut, get you excited about the things of God. That's what these devotions are about. And yeah, it did for me. So, all right, let's keep it moving, man. Let's keep it moving. Let me get into my typical morning announcements, as I call them, and give people who might be new to the community. You never know who might be new. More and more people are coming into the community, especially over on Rumble, since YouTube is cracking down on me. So for my shout out to my people on Rumble, appreciate you guys over there, man. All right, real quick here. The quiz, take the quiz, test your dollar IQ. 10 simple questions make a world of difference. It's just simply exposing the knowledge gap we all have in reference to things we were not taught, or things that they, meaning the orchestrator of this paradigm we're living in, don't want us to know about the difference between sound money and fiat currency. Once you fill that knowledge gap, you are able to position yourself as the 1%ers in reference to monetary literacy, as I call it. So once again, 10 simple questions, rethinkingthethdollar.com/quiz. Take the quiz and then follow the remaining steps to what I call achieving monetary savviness status. And so those are beneath this video here if you guys are interested. And yeah, just test your knowledge. And if you find value in it, pass it to a friend and let them test themselves. And hopefully it leads them down that information hole just to plug in those knowledge gaps. So once again, check it out if you guys are interested. Next here, I want to remind you guys, for those who are awake and aware and have taken actionable steps, another step that you can take is basically contacting Colonial Metals Group and speaking with the experts on how to take possession of your portfolio, retirement portfolio, in a self-directed IRA where you can hold gold and silver as well as other assets within your grasp. And so once again, beneath me, or behind me rather, is a quick little survey. Fill it out. You'll be contacted by the experts and just find out, ask questions, get everything you need to know out so that you can find out if this is something good for you or not. And if you go down to the link below, colonialsmetalsgroup.com/RTD, you can find out more information, get some testimonials and things like that. And if you want to, give them a call, 888-521-2448, and just speak with the experts and let them educate you on how to take possession of things that is yours. And so definitely have a go there. Check them out. So, okay, let's get into it, man. So I want to start off today, of course, talking about precious metals and in particular silver. So we're going to jump right into it. Let me refresh my page here, just because I'm hearing and seeing a lot of people who I follow on the X sphere talk about, what's next. A lot of concerns about what's next, just because current price activity for silver in particular is abnormal. And because it's abnormal, it's causing a lot of people to have jitters in reference to where it's going to go. I got some people forecasting a sell-off, some people forecasting a surge. We don't know. The biggest thing is make sure you got possession of the metal, and whether it goes up or down, it don't matter, because possession in this current day and age, when everything is a non-fungible distraction, can go a long way. And so I would rather have something and have it do nothing but just sit there and collect dust than not have nothing and then be racing to go get it. If it started to surge, where you're going to spend more and of course may not be able to get exactly what you're looking for. Okay, real quick. So here we got, this is the market update as of right now. It says gold is 23.90, so definitely down a little bit. Not too surprising, but then once again, when you're in historical territories, $10 here, $20 here, $30 here, $40 here. It's very insignificant. Just because who would have ever thought, apart from those who are expecting this, to see $2,390 for an ounce of gold? Okay, but then we got silver. It's above 30 now. So for the longest, since I've been covering gold and silver over the last 10 years now, focusing on rethinking a dollar, gold or silver rather has always hovered between that. I think when I got in the game, it was like $15 an ounce, $16 an ounce, and it's been hovering around that 15 to 20-ish range forever. So the fact we're at 30 and we've been in 30 for the last couple of days lets us know that something has happened behind the scenes. So have no fear, good people. Things are changing. So we got 31.16 as of right now. And so literally this is was it 1 year? This is about a 1 year high, or longer than that. 1 year, no, 2 years, about 2 years so high compared to where things are heading. And let me just, for the sake of, let me see here. So of course we had the market open in New York, and it's opened up at 31 and got down to 30.10. So literally quick sell off. You know how they do this. Is nothing new. Let me see if I can open up my screen. So I can zoom in. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, there we go. Okay, forgive me. There we go. All right, so as we see here, a little slam down. No worries. But once again, we're in the 30 territory. So literally for the May 20th, 21, 22, we've been in that 30-ish ball range. So here's $30.50 right here. So we're above that. So 31 is that steady point. Okay, let me go back 5 years real quick. So literally just 5 years. So since July 20-ish or so, it's been hovering in this 20 I'll probably average about $24 or so, if I was to use that as an average line here. So for the last 5 years, it's been hovering around that 22, 23, 24 range. Go back out. Now, this is where things really get complicated. Let me zoom in here. So literally the last high since 2012, as we can see here, we're nowhere near that. We're nowhere near that, but yet we're approaching that. We're halfway to where it's going to end up going. Okay, so the reason I mention all this, let me get into some interesting little people I follow here. So here's TF Metals report. And so once again, very knowledgeable, been following the space forever. And so he put out a tweet or X or whatever, literally about 30 minutes ago. And so he said, so what's going to happen next? Any guesses? And so he's literally just on his charts, drawing up some stuff here, literally showing what I just showed you. Oops. Over the last couple days. So it looks like according to this top candle here, where it got up to $32. This was a 19. So literally over the last couple days, this is the ballpark that silver's been, trading at. Okay, so he's concerned or putting out a question. What's going on? So everybody follow, say, are you still alive here, Mr. Slammy? 35 is where I'm tight. I'm lightening up some of my holdings. So people are talking about getting out. I'm not a technical analyst, but I did stay at the Holiday Inn suite last night. Does go for Fraser. So yeah, people are sharing their thoughts, and it doesn't stop there. Here's Jesse Colombo, another person I follow. He's a director of marketing, North American Bullion Star, or whatever. So he's heavy in the metals. And so this is his thoughts. He says, I'm still watching the flag pattern that's forming on silver's hourly chart. It says if it breaks to the upside, there's a good chance that it will run much higher. It says the release of the Fed meeting minutes this afternoon are likely breakout catalysts. And so once again, he's showing the same little pattern that TF Metals showed as well. And of course, everybody chimes in with their thoughts. And he talks about there's a similar flag pattern on gold's hourly chart. We're basically waiting for the next catalyst here. So he's saying that basically the Fed minutes could be that catalyst. So we'll see. But once again, these concerns here that I believe people are expressing have to do with, the trading activity. But then again, what's different from the West and the East is what I've called that decoupling of price discovery is from the futures game in comparison to the spot game, the actual physical delivery demand that is clearly being led by the Shanghai exchange. And so when I saw these questions and concerns and TA announcements, I'm sure it could leave people wondering, like, man, like, is this a good time to get in? Is it not? Don't worry about what time to get in. Position yourself so that you won't miss out on the up or down. But then again, if you're a part of the community, my mantra of, get your weight up at all costs, because right now it's probably the cheapest regarding the premium, the spot plus the premium, that you'll actually be able to get metal, barring some systemic event that causes a major sell-off temporarily before things shoot off to the moon officially. But once again, that's just one of the Western narratives based upon the manipulation that we've become so used to, where it's easy to expect there to be some type of drawdown because the Western bankers have a lot to lose if silver price continues to surge higher. Okay, so what is that all about? Another person I follow, Marin Katusa. A few people, are in the mining space and stuff like that. Marin is, he's one of those guys that does a good job writing, and he's, a speculator in the likes of Doug Casey, and they all run in that same circle. So of course I follow those guys because you got to follow where the money's going. So anyway, Marin Katusa put out something yesterday that I didn't get a chance to see, but I came across it, and it really got me to thinking about, okay, well, here in the West, if we're concerned with the futures market, which controls the price, and, according to the CRIMEX or the COMEX, they have the future contracts of about 5,000 ounces per contract. And that's how they, I guess, look, that's how they, what was it called? Like predict future prices in the future of what the metal might be. And as of right now, the CRIMEX doesn't operate in the same fashion that the Shanghai Futures Exchange does, because they've, as I mentioned weeks ago, they've enhance some of their market making capabilities by increasing the cost of speculating in the futures markets, which makes it very unproductive / less likely to be manipulated, because it costs to try to manipulate the markets when it comes to their future. So they have a more realistic price setting structure than we have over here. Okay, so my whole point is just this graph here. It says new all-time highs for Shanghai silver futures. This is something he posted from his research. And so as I was thumbing through this, I was trying to get an idea, okay, how's he pricing this? And so if I zoom in here, it looks like everything is on a 2-year increment going back to 2012, where the Shanghai silver futures was priced at around 7,000 yuan. And so over that period there, things cooled off significantly, as we can see, where there was just this little market correction here. So it got down to, on average, probably about 4,000 yuan. Okay. And then literally around 2020, something broke. It shot up. And then here started trading above that 5,000 to 6,000. And then just literally this year, what he circled on his graph is just something worth paying attention to. So this is the futures in the Shanghai exchange, and it looks like the settlement time frame is happening in November of 2024, which he doesn't have on here. But looking into the future as to what they price an ounce of silver in China right now is a lot higher than what it's priced at for our July futures, is the farthest that I was able to find for how we go out here. And so what my point is, while we're concerned with what might happen from the Western hemisphere dealing with our futures and how they are able to sell those contracts and drive the price down, or a systemic event could cause a sell-off, over in China, based upon what is actually setting the price discovery for this surge higher, they have silver based upon this spike right here at over 8,000 yuan, so about 8,300 yuan. And so actually 8,700 yuan, if I be correct. It says silver rallies in China as investors drive prices to decade highs, betting on increased demand. So literally between now and November, when these future contracts assumably are set and due, they're saying that demand will have silver, based upon the current anticipation and excitement for silver at the end of this year, at around, as it says here, $39 an ounce. It says Shanghai's yuan price futures surged over 6%, hitting a record of 8,733 yuan per kilogram. And that's $39 an ounce. So while here in the West, we're so used to futures slamming down the price of everything, over in Asia, based upon future expectations of what the price of ounce of silver will be, they're pricing it at $39 an ounce. And that's probably bare minimum, barring any events or any announcements or something like that could really be the catalyst that would probably have that price right there be small compared to what could come. And so my whole point in bringing all this up is the expectations on the actual ounce of silver is different everywhere. But we're so used to the manipulation of things done from the West. I think it's time to start shifting our expectations rather towards true spot discovery, which would probably be driven from the Eastern Hemisphere, where demand is high and accumulation in the actual physical is the new standard. So regardless of what happens between now, next couple of days, next couple of weeks, whatever, expect by the end of this year for prices to be a lot higher than what they are now. So what does that mean? If you know price is more than likely going to surge, and if you are aware of the importance of silver on many fronts, then continue to do what you've been doing before as far as allocating for those who do would be wise. Never minding waiting on a dip or something like that, because dips are no longer guaranteed to come in the previous fashion would be my point here. And so here we got, it says, so some thoughts from here says, COMEX going to get drained this cycle, and it's going to be beautiful to watch. I would think there's a huge arbitrage opportunity here, 100%. And so just more thoughts here. We got the Silver Surfer. Then we got Checkmate, Silver to the Moon. It says COMEX soon shall follow, whether it likes it or not. So yeah, how do they drain the West to stack it in the East? Practically, how much more somebody move the silver from West to East? So yeah, those metrics there, whatever. So just based upon, and then somebody here says they just whatever says that's not $39 an ounce. So once again, then we got some other math here. It says there it is for 1 kilogram. I assumes 8,700, 725 did the math here. And so the person here says, according to his math, it's 37.51. So once again, whose math is right? Was it 37 or like Marion said, 39? Point in case is like right now, this is what the COMEX futures have us looking at. Silver futures at this current moment, due in July, is 31.42. So the current price for futures in July is 31. So whether it's 35, 37, 39, it's a lot higher than it is now. And that's not factoring the cost that we would have to pay with that premium on top. So just say worst case scenario, if the futures price or spot price in the next couple of weeks, months, whatever, hit 37, you won't be able to buy the actual ounce for 37. You got to put $2, $3, $4 on top of that, depending on what you're buying. So you're looking at $40 for an ounce of silver of whatever kind you like. So yeah, but here's another little interesting graphic. So I put this back here all the way. This is the COMEX futures all the way back to 2012 in similar fashion as the Shanghai Futures Exchange was. And we can see here the highest it got on the future was $29 for delivery in July of 2012. So, and did it get there? I don't know what the price was at that time, but so anyway, so as you can see here, but from this dead period, from the time it slammed down, let me see, this was June 20th in 2012, all the way up until let me see here, June till, let me see, what is this? Let me get my stuff together here. My dates, my times aren't adding up. Give me a second. Let me zoom out here. Okay, yeah, let me do. No. Okay, but point in case is, we can see it'll take too long to get that going. Anyway, as you can see here, concerns from the West and the East are diverging. They've decoupled, and yeah, we're in a different world nowadays, man. So true price discovery is starting to become more surface level talk. So once again, get your weight as best you can, as long as you can, and go, buckle up for the ride, because it's going to be a bumpy one, people. All right, let's keep it going. Let me get into some more things here that caught my attention. Here is another interesting perspective on silver that I thought was worth bringing to your attention. This is from a Gray Rabbit Finance. I just came across this particular perspective. It says, how much physical precious metal do you need to be in the top 20%, top 5%, top 1% of all stackers? It says, here is a look at silver. So here's a little graph you put together. So to be in the top 20%, it says final silver overview is 41 to 54 ounces of silver. Not sure how he came up with this, but just something that's entertaining. Top 5%, 132 ounces to 176 ounces. And then to be in the top 1%, 406 ounces to 541% to 541 ounces. So don't know his methodology for coming up with this. I'm assuming there is a reason to his madness, but it's just interesting to hear how his perspective on silver, how much a person would need. And those numbers wouldn't be too crazy because when you think about 99.98%, I'll say, of the world population or U.S. citizens or citizens in a developed world don't know the difference between fiat currency and sound money from a historical standpoint, meaning that most of them don't hold gold and silver as a part of their portfolio because they look at it as a commodity and not money, the way it has historically been seen. So that means they have no real need to hold large amounts of anything because they want their portfolios to grow, which means they invest in things that have been traditionary, which is stocks and bonds and everything else. So I can see how those figures, it don't take much to separate yourself from the pack is basically what that graph just showed us. And then here on the gold side, it says top 20% owns 16 ounces, top 5% owns 53 ounces, top 1% of the what I call monetarily elite would own 164 ounces of gold. So yeah, those are just some figures given to us. And he had a little link here to this video. So I'm assuming he has some interesting perspectives on that. It says, and then somebody says, where would 3,200 ounces of troy ounce put someone? And then he responded, that is silver king status. And then he shows his chart here. Might be something he put together, but just entertaining. A silver king would be 2,000 to 5,000 ounces. You are a sovereign power. Your rule shall be great. A silver lord is 1,000 to 2,000 ounces. It says, never work a day in his life. Life is great. Life is comfy. A silver baron is 300 to 1,000 ounces. You have many lands and pleasures, as well as loyal knights and debt slaves. Silver knight is 100 to 300. Silver yeoman is 500 to 100. Silver mercenary is from 25 to 50. Silver foot soldier is 25 ounces. And then it says here, a silver plebe is less than 10 ounces. And if you don't have 10 ounces, you are considered a debt slave. So once again, interesting. That's a very interesting perspective there. So shout out to my man for putting together these visual aids and stuff like that. But let me know your thoughts on that in the chat, And of course, I'm not going to be that guy that says, in the chat, put how much you got, put where you at. No, that's your business between you and yours. And one thing about having this amount of weight, no matter how much weight you have, depending on how it's purchased, a lot of that can be outside of prying eyes because it's not publicly visible on a ledger. You want your silver publicly visible, your gold publicly visible on a ledger? Not me. Anyway, keep it moving. On another note, Trump is opening up his campaign to crypto donations. So if you want to make a donation to support Trump, feel free to head over to trump.com and donate some Bitcoin, some Ethereum, some Doge, and everything else, and help him in his campaign efforts. Donald Trump's campaign says he will build a Bitcoin and crypto army to defeat Joe Biden in the presidential election. So his previous presidency, he was not in favor of crypto, but now that it'll help him win over a few more people, sure, jump on the train. Yeah, okay. And then lastly here, not lastly, but this is something well. So this getting into the digital revolution is taking place now and how everything is being thrust into the digital world. It looks like the EU have made available the downloadable digital ID app. And it's voluntary up until 2026. And so this is from the European Commission, came out yesterday at 8:26 in the morning. It says, the digital ID regulation has entered into force. It means that all Europeans will be able to benefit from a personal digital wallet app on a voluntary basis from 2026. So I take it that it's available now, and you'll be able to until 2026, or after 2026, it becomes mandatory. So I'm not quite sure. Let me know how you guys are reading that. It says it will improve the way we engage with online services. They want to improve the way you engage. This is me speaking to the Europeans, but the U.S. is right there. It says keeping our safety and privacy as its heart at its heart. So here we got. This is just a little visual aid here. What's in it? What is the EU digital identity wallet? So you see the smartphone here. Keep that in mind for my next little article. And then the next thing here says a digital wallet app to securely identify yourself online. So once again, why would I want to identify myself online? I don't, but they want to make sure that everyone who accesses the internet can identify themselves so they know who's doing what. Next one here. It says the digital wallet will build on national apps you use to prove your identity digitally. So you have to now log in. You will have to log in and prove yourself when you log into things so that they know that you are you. So they can track, trace, and monitor everything you do and say. It will allow you to safely obtain, store, share, and sign digital documents and certificates. Medical information, all the stuff on there, all the stuff that makes you you in the real world that's involved with institutions will be on this app. It says it will reduce paperwork anywhere you travel, work, or study abroad in the EU. So anywhere in those nations that are part of the EU, you won't have to carry papers because you'll just have your your app. It says you will only share the exact information you have agreed to, no more, no less. Right. So you see a phone tapping something. Okay. So that's the EU, people might say. And of course, a lot of people here are expressing their concerns. And then somebody says, LOL, voluntary. We got EU. Create digital identity, force it on member countries, issue freely the EU ID to illegal immigrants. Member countries won't be able to determine if someone is an illegal immigrant or not. Punish countries who resist the EU ID, and distribute illegal immigrants. It says, don't forget the favorite feature of all, freezing the ability to spend or confiscating funds from their determined have-nots. And so this is the latest developments in the EU. It's already available. The app is ready to be downloaded, and it's voluntary until it's not. Okay, that won't happen in the U.S., will it? Let me show you something. Let me delete some things here so I can make some space. So here's something that plays into more of what I'm going to talk about here. It says TSA visited Apple and Google to discuss digital ID collaboration. This came out April 29th, but I bet you didn't hear about this one on Fox and CNN. It says here, in recent years, US TSA has been actively engaging in collaboration with major technology companies, particularly Apple and Google. Why Apple and Google? Apple is in your hand. Usually, you either got a Google or an Apple. That's why That's why the telecommunication industry has been basically huddled down to Android and iOS. So every phone either has an Android or iOS, unless you have a de-Googled phone. I talked about that in the future. Anyway, so focus on taking the technology, applying it only to the primary two cell phone providers because of their software that they already have, and partnering with them so that everybody can make sure they have something on their phone. It says to explore the integration of biometric surveillance technology and the development of digital IDs for passengers. So the TSA, the transportation side of the government, collaborating with tech companies to come up with a digital ID that will be automatically, you won't even have to download it. It's going to be updated in the latest firmware the time it's ready to be rolled out. And so it just goes on and says, in a recent visit to California, TSA officials met with representatives of Apple and Google to discuss the ongoing efforts to implement digital ID solutions on smartphones. Administrator David Pekoski led the TSA legislation, referring to Apple and Google as an innovation partners in this endeavor. Then it goes on to talk about, here's these guys here. These are the people working hard on your behalf to make sure that they deliver a service that you don't want, but you will be forced to use, and everything in between. Okay, so somebody might say, well, man, like, I'm not downloading that. I'm not going to use that phone. Like, why would I do that? And as I mentioned before, all this stuff technology-wise, from the digital ID, all the stuff that will come from that'll be included in that app, is something that you won't even have to willingly download. Because if you are on a smartphone, it'll be installed for you. And people will say, well, how would they do that? The same way that a couple years ago, if everybody remember, without even really realizing it, if you updated your phone or if it's on automatic update, they automatically gave you a feature that you didn't even want, or most people didn't want, or even know they had. And I remember looking at a phone that I had at the time and going through the settings and seeing like, hold on, where does this come from? And so once again, Android, the software, and on iOS, they updated the firmware and included something that they thought that you would want, or something that they wanted you to want. And that all had to do with contact tracing. So remember that, upload everybody got in their phone, where you can see who's close to you in the vicinity who tested, positive. That was a feature that was built in that you didn't want. I didn't want it, rather, but it was available. Same way the digital ID will be rolled out. Same way within that digital ID wallet, on top of all the other API services that will be attached to it, this digital transformation with the CBDC, or the synthetic dollar, as I call it, will also be available to people once you sign up or sign in or log in, and it'll be there waiting on you. And this is all around 2026-ish time frame there. So, here's just more information here. Everybody know how, it played out. Some people use it. I deactivated it right away because it wasn't even activated. You had to give it permission. But then once again, if it's already in the phone without your permission, because it's a updated feature, it's good to say that whether you check yes or no is irrelevant, because they can still cut it on the back end and you not even know. And that's not something that's new. It happens all the time. So when you're in their system using their technology, then you're subject to their rules, basically. So yeah, that's just a little something that was happening on the back end of things. So, but once again, like I put, when I was going through trying to, record history and give all the key benefits and features for history, I like to incorporate some things. And let me share with you real quick here. So for those who maybe new, don't know, but let me always make sure I remind people of the resources that I try to put together so everybody can stay plugged in. So as a part of my monetary literacy journey, here we got the Dollarcation graph here. It says a monetary cheat sheet for the people. So this is basically 10 years of my work, of my studying, condensed down to one infographic that's available to you as step 2 of the monetary savviness beneath this video here. But as I was updating this recently, I still got more stuff to do, because as I learn stuff, I put stuff on here. And so this is the first update since 2017. And so what I did was to try to give people a heads up. I put a time frame on here that will play very well into the days ahead. Let me see, where is it at? I put, as you can see right here, central bank digital currency. And I put the year 2026. That was the year I put on there based upon all the stuff I study, articles I read, keeping track on the CBDC project tracker, when every nation says that they anticipate having it ready by 2026. So, here we have the full history of our monetary endeavors in this country here, from 1792, what I believe will be all the way up to 2030. So if you're interested in finding out more, it's downloadable, and just study it. Take every tab on here and study it and learn it. You'll be more knowledgeable than the 99.99% of the population, because this information was not taught in school. I had to go get this. But anyway, that's just a little side note for those who are interested. But all right, good people. As always, it's good to connect with you. For those who are joining late or catching the replay, go through and just hear the rants, see the analysis, see the thoughts, see my opinions. And at the end of the day, to sum it all up, make sure you continue to do what you've been doing. Get your prayer game up. Build your faith up. Get your weight up. Get your preps up. Love, live, and laugh as best as you can while you still can. and give God all the glory. All right, good people. Be blessed, be safe. I'll catch you guys later.